Hello and welcome to this second look exploring session, looking at Albion Knight, a fragmentary play that the dating on it is a little fiddly. It's either 1537, 38-ish, or it's 1559 to 1565. It was printed in 1565, so it was a bit before then. And it is an incomplete morality play. It follows the structure of a morality play quite well. We don't have the beginning of the play, but probably we're not missing that much. We don't know how much, but we have some of the setup is absent, and we're going to be reading this as a second look at pace. Give it its due, give it a bit of welly, and just see what happens. And then we'll talk about where the plot would have gone, because it does basically tell us the plot of the rest of the play. We just don't have the rest of the play, and we'll be talking about strategies for making that work, and what we might do with a fragmentary text like this. But it's just to remind ourselves what it is and what it's doing. So reading today from Albion Knight, reading Justice today is.
Hello, I'm Greg. I'm near Stratford-on-Avon. At the time of recording, it is literally my 5th birthday with this group.
Oh. Reading Injury today is.
Hello, Tamara here, and I have nothing exciting to say right now. So yes, continue.
And joining us for the first time, be kind and gentle, everyone. Reading Albion is.
Hi, I'm Miranda. So yes, it's my first time. I'm really excited to see how it all works.
Lovely. So I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading Division, who will appear later on. So second look, so we're not going to be reading stage directions, so hopefully it will be relatively clear. It's not desperately complicated in terms of stage business. Top of the play, Justice is obviously in charge of being terribly serious, and the realm seems to be personified by the character of Albion. So Albion is the personification of the kingdom, and of course Justice is important within the realm of the kingdom, and therefore they should function together. Justice has noticed this guy called Injury, who is turned up and is sort of pretending to be better than he is. And Justice does not trust Injury because he's clearly a vice and is clearly not trustworthy. But he manages to hang around in the court. He is given the benefit of the doubt, and the plot will advance from there. So we are in the midst of a conversation between the vice Injury, the terribly virtuous character of Justice, and the personification of the kingdom in Albion themselves. And we're going to run this to the end. It shouldn't take desperately long. See you on the other side.
Nay, I will taste of other essays and spare our dame for holy day, so that for very need she must use her feet with other of her house and such as she can get. Yet is she not much to blame, though she increase her husband's name, such children to bring us now, ye see me, tall man as I am, unworthy though I be.
Thou speakest like a laurel, full large and full lewdly, and not like a child gotten of trim matrimony. And yet, though thy person induce no likelihood that in thee should be any manhood, yet beside that thou seemest of manhood frail, because so abused is thy light apparel.
Apparel, good sir, what fault is that? Though grey be her coat, why blame ye the wild cat? Why should ye him deem of nature frail, though as wise as ye would wear a foxtail, or a coat after the common usage, or have by nature a mad visage? These be no witness for justice to discern, nor certain knowledge of nature to learn. And Christ taught you, sir, how ye should judge men, saying, Nolite judicare secundum faciem. Yet, in nature, better knowledge should be than is in apparel, you know, Paddy.
Oh, yet in apparel is great abusion if it be framed without discretion. For in apparel there may a great token be of frailness, of pride and instability, if common size therein use no measure, for then is apparel a wanton foolish pleasure, and folly best meed is of presumption, when nature of reason used resumption. And therefore, Christ taught us a great wise prose, saying, Ex fructibus eorum cognoscitis, I can't say it, cognoscitis eos.
Yet, with the same text, I pray you wipe your nose. He said not ex vestibus eorum cognoscitis eos.
Yet, friends, I pray you once again to cease your Travis that breeds disdain, and heartily both, I do you pray, that both your friendships have I may.
Sir, as for mine, you shall not miss, but this gentleman, I think, will go piss.
Nay, Sir Albion, I will not draw back if that of me ye have lack, so that I were in perfect surety that this man here should manhood be.
Now, Christ's benedicte, how Albion and Justice hath forgot me. Because of me, they had no exercise of long time by any enterprise. Wherefore, sithen ye cannot know me by experience, I wot not how ye should know me but by my credence. Therefore, by my truth and by my honesty, believe me, for manhood truly I am he.
Well, then by your oath I am content to have your friendship with good assent. And Justice, I pray you to do the same.
Sir, if manhood be his name, as he hath sworn, I would be glad that his friendship also I had.
Then Justice, I pray you both, let me knit you both upon his oath. Now, friends, I trust we be all three, and with this knot I pray you contented to be.
Sir, ye ought to be contented best of all, where justice is treated with due equity, and where no favour nor meed should be, and when reason hath tried there every deal, that such an act were good for the common weal. If therefore any loss may be to the disadvantage of principality, such an act loseth all his suit, with a little inducing of reason astute. And if it touch the Lord's spiritual, or be disadvantage to the Lord's temporal, farewell, go bet, this bill may sleep as well through the Parliament creep. And if that merchants be moved withal, or any multitude of the common hall, this is not for us, say they then. This bill is naught but for it to wipe a pan. And this is all your new equity, and for all your message, yet thus it will be.
Alas, if this may not reformed be, I shall never be sure of prosperity.
Yeah, and what followeth hereof, Master Albion? To your person, universal derision.
Why to me derision?
For all other strange nations, they will rail on ye with open proclamations, saying whosoever do as he does is half a man and half a wild goose.
Why, half a man and half a wild goose?
For, with high reason, they say ye can dispute and try out perils with labourer's suit, and eke the treasure for the common vale, as far as wit or reason can assail. When all is done, and your statute made, then forth ye go in a wise trade, to bring it all to good conclusion, and put it never in execution. Then speak they further, instead of a mock. They have made a statute like a woodcock, that hath but one eye, and the other blind, and it will turn with every wind. And for because ye study but for the beginning, and never provide for a sure ending. Beginning like a man, ye take greater say, at last, like a wild goose, even but to fly away.
Well, if this be true, it is more pity, yet let us endeavour, both ye and I, to taste our message that it were done to help hear of some reformation.
Yea, that to do I pray you both, and to you two I promise, by oath, I shall me endeavour with the commonalty, their whole allegiance, to keep in unity.
Then God be your speed, for I will forth my...
And I will after, God guide us that best may.
And I will tarry no longer while, but as I see you over the stile. Now, Here beginneth the game, me wis, for manhood they ween my name is. But trust me, sirs, if I should not lie, my name is called Injury, which name to hide I thought it policy, and turn it to manhood, and what you why? It is a part of our new experience when I against right make stiff defence, that justice in his seat may not be instabled, then am I, injury, manhood called. Oh, then of me croaketh every man, how like a lord this fellow stare can the law to defend without a fall, for all their pleading in Westminster Hall, or say what they will and babble there, yet maintenance and I will keep the chair. If it come once to the country, then as I will, so shall it be. A very cause, sirs, why I hide my name, was they should not suspect my fame, because I would spy all their intent to change their purpose after my judgment. And so will I do, for this is their pretence, by means of justice to bring in experience, that peace should continue the people among, and so by that means to banish me wrong. But trust me, sirs, I will none of that, but rather by their faces I will them scrat. And me to maintain in this opinion, I have an old mate called Division, that shall be of my counsel in this case, which I trust will not turn his face till peace be driven clean from Albion. And then let justice and me alone, for I trust, he and I have done, he shall go whistle in a marrow bone, as for any rightful judgment that after this shall follow his intent. And now, sirs, will I go my way, my fellow to seek, find him if I may.
Having a rusk out of the busk, a lusty captain, a boar with a tusk, a sturdy lusk, any battle to dereign, a stallion stout to bear it out in everywhere, and never to lout for a knave's clout, though my head it bear, as stiff as a stake, battle to make, as never afeard, I can awake these knaves and take them fast by the beard, for peace is bent for, nor full intent to live at ease, shall not prevent, let of my judgment, to alter in disease. Such cast I have, to conjure a knave out of his skin, though justice rave, or hang, or save, fie on him, whoreson!
Marry, fie on him, whoreson! What? Art thou mad again?
What? Mine old friend Injury? How were other hanged and thou let go by?
By God, because I took delay for lack of thee to be mine attorney.
What, whoreson? Wouldst thou have me be trussed up instead of thee?
Yeah, by God, but even for a say that I might learn of you to know the play.
To play, whoreson? What meanest thou by that?
By God, methought even now you were in a snare, or else an hunting to catch an hare. But hark, I say, do together and spell, beware ever among of the friary clerk's bell.
It is doubtful to me all that thou speakest. I pray thee spell it thyself, and tell me what thou meanest.
But wouldst thou need so fain know it? I tell thee, with Albion and justice I am knit. Therefore it were wisdom for thee to beware what thou sayest before me.
What, whoreson, then thou hast forsaken me?
Nay, I had liever you were skinned all three, for I have turned the wrong side of my hood, and told them my name was manhood. And now, by God, in any wise, for both our eases, I must have thine advice.
What, hast thou now changed thine old copy to justice and Albion to be a common hobby? Or art thou afeard of thy old name that in every place is had in fame, and is supported in such sufferancy from the lowest unto the highest degree?
Nay, by God, I was not afeard. It was but for to claw their beard, or rub it of all that they meant, that I might know all their intent, whereof the matter is too long to tell for the time that we did mell, but shortly to show thee for a conclusion their mind is to bring us both to confusion.
I pray thee, by what means?
Albion hath sent justice to principality to have assistance, and me to sufferancy of the lords temporal to have their aid, that justice in no wise should be delayed. If this thou knowest well enough, Paddy, thus they mean to destroy thee and me. And as for justice forth is gone, speed as he can, but I tarried alone. And yet I would no messenger be till I had the advice of thee. Therefore how sayst thou now in this case? We shall not be idle to play at this base.
Tush, as for this, I care not a pudding prick. For we two will go through thin and thick, may grease their heads every one, though they be as hard as rock or stone.
I pray thee tell me how.
First, I myself will enterprise that peace shall have no exercise between the commons and principality, nor between lords spiritual and lords of the temporality.
Ere you go any further, tell me by what means.
I have 2 spies of great exercise. The one is called Double Device, him will I send, I may tell thee, and unto the court to principality, and him will I charge that with his provision, principality and the commons to set at division. The second spy is called Old Debate, a singular fellow with a bald pate. Him will I send to the lords spiritual to cause them to wrangle with the lords temporal.
What shall they use in their device?
The one to principality shall surmise that the commons' hearts do arise against him, when that he doth ask, in time of need, our money for task, his heart to move with such unkindness. Then the same spy shall use the like doubleness, and go to the commons, and to them tell that principality with equity doth rebel more to his lucre in every deal, applying his affection then to the commonweal, and how that he of negligence doth not apply for their defence, neither by sea nor by land, neither by high waves, neither by strand, but thieves and raveners and murderers eke, daily true men they pursue and seek, and that his laws indifferently be not used, but maintenance and bribery is suffered alone, without reformation, that the poor commons is in altercation of this matter, and what to say, bringing them in opinion that they ought not to pay to principality their duty of very desert, except like duty be ministered on his part.
I may God avow this is a sovereign bait to bring our purpose to a narrow strait. But what shall the other spy then do? A fellowship? Tell me that also.
Marry, he shall inform the lords temporal that the spiritual men would rule all, and say it was shame to them by the rude, that being descended from the noble blood, to suffer any other of such power to be, to have the governance about principality, sithen they inheritors are born to be of the high council by blood and dignity, which medicine I trow will not likely start till it have tickled them all by the heart. Then shall the same spy taste the other part, and turn to them the wrong side of the cart, and say the God of his high great grace to them have given good fortune and space by learning, sadness, and gravity, and for their due reward in honour to be, and bear to them boldly in hand, that they ought by reason to rule this land. Because the power of temporality have no knowledge in cunning, perdie, neither in youth will labour the passage of pain for virtue to rule in age, so that, if they rulers should be, they know not how for insufficiency. Thus will I divide by his proper train, that peace amongst them shall not reign.
Marry, this is a cast of a new horse comb to rub any on the navel that hath a tickle womb. This gear will work after my fantasy to make of an old grudge a new frenzy. And this openeth the gate even for me, that both the one and the other degree shall wrestle with themselves in such afflictions that everyone shall disdain all other jurisdictions.
What wilt thou do then? Let me hear thy cast.
Well, this gentle seed will I sow at the last, when peace by thee is in perplexity, and what not in what part quiet to be. Then justice must ever be in doubt, which part at need shall bear him out, so that, for my part, he shall stand still while I run at large, and have all my will.
But to what conclusion wilt thou bring it then?
Why, know'st not thou? Then hark me, man. This justice is a fellow of a far cast, and driveth such drifts to rule at the last, and peace is his brother of one degree, which hath a fair daughter that is called Plenty, and Albion, as long as rest him treats, he loveth fair flesh of all meats. And it is a common saying that justice, peace, and he will conclude a marriage with fair Dame Plenty. And then will Albion, that old sot, with rest and peace so on her dote, that then she, by her and her friends, shall sail in storms at all winds.
By God's bread, thou sayest truth. But this to help, we must not use sloth.
No. And therefore hark me to an end. Thou and I shall this matter defend, for thou shalt to Albion a messenger be, and say thou were present when principality with justice fell at great debate, when that his message he did dilate from Albion, and tell him that principality in no wise his will with equity will grant to exercise, but that the law should be but after his liking, and every writ after his entitling, and that his will, whoever list to strive, should be the best part of his prerogative. And then they both suddenly upon this in great rages depart herewith. Wherefore, Justice said, I am in such confusion that I am ashamed to turn again to Albion, and when this message thou hast done soberly, tell him thy name is Policy.
What the devil meanest thou by that? Should I dissemble from a wild cat that ever before this have used patching, and now to play the wise man and leave scratching?
Ay, whoreson, it is a point of high madness for a time to dissemble sadness, and thou, though thou be already as mad as a hart, yet will I make thee madder than thou art.
Oh, well, say on then.
Marry, then even thus I say. When that to Albion thou hast taken thy way, and done thy message as thee I bade, he will for a while be pensive and sad, and he will ask thine advice. Then must thou dissemble thyself wise.
Oh, I make God a vow that is impossible, that I and wisdom should knit in one quenable, or in my brain to print such abusion that wisdom and I should be in one conclusion. For when I was young, my mother charged me and said, beware wit, son, though thou never thee.
And I am not disposed to change much your life, but hear me speak an end, though you never thrive.
Well, say on then, and tell me what counsel I shall give Albion that may sound well to both our profits. That would I know.
Thou shalt teach him a wrong cross row, and tell him best it is, after thine advice, with mirth and prodigality him to exercise, and take of his own good while he may, lest all at last be bribed away.
And alas, that is all we have. Everyone back in the room to discuss Albion Knight, what we have of it. I'm always fascinated by this one because It's so depressingly prescient. In terms of what it's talking about, it's like, how do you gain power for yourself? You divide everybody against each other and stiff in through the middle, and pretend that you're cleverer than you are. This has no political parallels at all. And as a blueprint, I mean, there is a certain amount of there's an awful lot of setup. There's an awful lot of explaining the plot that is about to happen, and then unfortunately, the fragment ends. It's like I've done all the homework. Can I have the entertainment now? And we don't quite get to it. But it's got a fascinating energy to it, and in comparison with some other sort of moral interludes that we've got, it does have a bounce and a life, and I wasn't playing Division stupid enough at the beginning. I only quite twigged how slow he was on the uptake for everything. It's like it's interesting there, the way that they're bouncing off each other. So thoughts in the room on this one. I'll go to Greg first.
I was just going to say, yeah, unlike some interludes where I've just not really cared, I found this one incredibly interesting. And yes, I really wish we got the start. I really wish we got the end, because it really made me fascinated. I mean, we were going back to discussions we have mostly around these when we do these things. Is there anything else that we could borrow from other plays, or could we filch from elsewhere and sort of interpolate to make it work?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that this kind of play is schematic. There is a set series of sort of incidents and plot lines, and this absolutely. And we could use other fragments as well. We've got the end of a fragment of Good Order or Old Christmas, which at time of recording, I've literally just released on the podcast, which is the end of a very similar story as to this, where everyone sort of goes, get rid of the bad guys, and the bad guys get sent off. They're a different set of bad guys. They're a different allegorical character, but they're basically exactly the same. They have the same banter. And yeah, all of these plays, you could basically work through different incidents and make it come to the same. There are some bits that don't quite fall. I don't think we've got a wooing of there's the sort of wooing plot added at the end. I'm not sure. We were just sort of being introduced there at the end. I'm not sure we got an analog for that precisely, but we've got close enough, and I think we could improvise around that in that sense. Other thoughts? It's a quiet room. It's very difficult when you've got so little text to bounce around it. This is in a sense a warm up for our next bit in this current recording session. So it's sort of just to get everyone's eyes and ears into this kind of thing. Have I said everything? Does no one else have a thought?
This is a trivial thought. I'm just entertained by how the key points turning on lying about your name, right? That it's okay, I'm going to say that my name is manhood. You should tell him your name is policy. That by shifting the key thing is shifting those labels.
Yes, and that's absolutely not trivial at all. I mean, it is the keystone of so much of this kind of drama. We do actually have a Tudor interlude bingo card now, which anyone watching this, I should have mentioned it before we start. I must the next one we do, which covers all of the things you're likely to find, and one of them is people, the vice characters specifically, changing their names because they want to pretend to be someone better. And also that the sort of when characters convert to being, say, a bad person, become a good person, that they are given a new name and there is a sort of ritualistic rebirth that goes on. So yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of the cornerstones of what these plays do, and it happens later on. I mean, Tamburlaine the Great plays with that as well, and a couple of Marlowe plays play with the idea of what you look like, as opposed to who you are and what your name is, and plays with that transformation. So again, when you change your name, it comes with a costume change, and you see that. So the scene 2 of Tamburlaine, where the costume change is effectively sets the character off in the direction that they're going in. And similar games happen in Dido, Queen of Carthage, which I've been working on today. Anyway, so yeah, it's a thing that does sort of echo further down the line. I'm wittering a lot. You can tell it's been a long day, so I'm tired, so I say too much. Any other thoughts in the room? Hello, Eric. Welcome. Any final thoughts on Albion Knight before we move on to something else?
I was just curious about the taking them fast by the beard and like stroking the beard or just like pondering on the beard. I'm not entirely sure what was going on there, but I
Ooh.
mean, I probably missed a bit when I was listening. I did enjoy it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, no, the characters were alive. Let me check. There is more than one reference to a beard. Taking knaves by the beard is presumably basically straightforward physical violence. I was not feared. Claw their beard. Yes, again, it's this or rub it of all that they meant. I think that's an injury line, isn't it? So I don't know if Tamara, you have what is it doing there?
Well,
Yeah, it's
aside
about the
from
name. So is it a
rhyming,
disguise thing? Claw their beard.
I mean, I have to say I quite liked the way that I was someone who was like, my name is manhood, when I look very feminine. Um, so I don't know what it means. I have no ideas for that. But if we were to do this, I would recommend a really bad beard. Really bad fake beard that keeps falling off. That's my only thought. Otherwise, head empty right now. Sorry.
Because of course, because earlier on, of course, when Injury and Justice are talking to each other, they are basically going. Justice is going, "You don't look like manhood to me. Your clothes are not very good." And so, yeah, again, a society where clothes maketh the man, or the maketh the manhood. In this instance, any more for any more? Otherwise, I will close the session. No. Okay. Well, we will return, maybe with a scaffold to build around Albion Knight. Greg, did you have something? No, you're just waving. That's fine. So hopefully we will return. Certainly this will appear on the podcast. It may already have done so by the time you actually see this video because of the weird, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey nature of the way these things go about. And maybe additional work on this will happen in the future. All that remains, thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.